Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Flying with Spurts. Well, I think things going wrong when I'm doing my Warbird testing is becoming a habit. Fortunately, I was able to grab some old B-roll footage that I took. Here's me attempting to start up the jug. I'll go into all this in a bit. But, the trial ran out before I was ready. Rogue wasn't feeling too well, so we didn't get a chance to get our definitive fight in. But we did goof off a little bit together, and Zero was able to grab some footage, so we'll have a look at that in a little bit. First, I want to talk about the jug. First of all, this thing looks amazing on the inside. Uh, it's a beautiful cockpit. It's a bit full and chaotic. Uh, and the startup process became a pain in my butt. I think only once over the course of the 2 weeks did I get it to take off without any issues. Uh, Things that ended up happening range from uh, seizing the engine on takeoff because I didn't let it idle long enough to mistiming throwing the fuel mixture up to Rich, which huge pain when that happened. I tried like 5 times in a row to start it. Oh, hey, yeah, look, this time I forgot to turn the magnetos on. In fact, that also got me thinking that what happened later in this flight might be because I didn't wait long enough between attempts to start the plane. Uh, the engine was running kind of weird. It was kind of like pulsing in power, and it really made it hard to control because at higher power settings, higher RPMs, high manifold pressures, that's a lot of torque. And so if that torque pulses, it twists the plane around. There we go. I'm pretty sure this time it kicks over. So, startup of the P-47. Nowhere near as easy as the Focke-Wulf 190. The A8 is, if it was any easier, it would be a push button turnkey like a car. As it is, I feel like you're just setting some circuit breakers and then pushing a button to turn the motor on, and poof, you're done. Now, ground handling. The A8 is a nightmare on the ground. Just nightmare. It's hard to taxi, it's hard to take off, it's hard to land. I don't know if I mentioned this in my A8 review video, but I think of my dozen or so attempts to land it, I had maybe one that I could have taken off again afterwards. On the flip side, the jug is an absolute dream. It is so stable on the ground. It never feels like it's going to get away from you. It's not perfect. The tail wheel never seems to center itself. You have to center it manually by using differential brake. So, if I'm remembering ground handling on the TF51, I think I like that one's ground handling even better. But nice wide landing gear, incredibly stable. The plane is so heavy that you can slam on the brakes and at almost any speed, and you're never even going to lift the tail wheel off the ground. It's fantastic. Great for a beginner. It's very easy to use, very forgiving. Uh, Takeoff is very similar to what I remembered in the TF51. You got to play with your rudder a little bit, get that gear up, and then you'll be okay. Uh, Taking off in the A8 was a challenge. That thing kept trying to cartwheel over sideways. This thing, it was almost like no training needed. You just run up a little power. You don't even need all of it. You might be able to hear the engine surges I was talking about. Just kind of hold the same attitude, maybe put the nose down a bit. Maybe get over 120 or so, it just kind of flies off the ground. Still pull left. I do that all the time in the Warbirds. Probably not enough right rudder. It now begins. This is a rate of climb test that I was doing this flight. But this begins what becomes the biggest nightmare of the Jug. The thing that I dislike about it the most. I have 3 different engine gauges that I need to pay attention to. Carburetor air temperature, oil temperature, and cylinder head temperature. And there are 3 different levers that regulate each one. So I am sitting here desperately trying to figure out why the engine's not running right. Looking at my 3 different gauges. And I can't. I can't figure it out. I don't know what's wrong. So far, the Jug is going to score the lowest on engine management because in the A8, there is no engine management. You have a throttle, and that's it. It does it all for you. Now, this wasn't the video where I did my best climb test, but I'll go ahead and talk about that. The one time I got everything to be climbing just fine, I easily cruised past 35,000 feet. It wasn't like the A8 where it seemed to fall off and climb once you got above 25,000. This thing just kind of keeps on trucking. And then I think at about 35,000, I may have hit some carburetor ice. All my engine gauges just kind of tanked, and then it started running rough and never really came back. But at the time, I didn't know that I needed to close my intercooler shutters in order to warm up the carburetor, because I can't actually reach the carburetor heat lever because it's covered up by some bomb selectors. Okay, now let's talk dive. I know historically the Jug was a fantastic diving machine, real heavy and all that. I only made 1 high-speed dive attempt in the A8. Worked great, nothing broke. This is my 3rd high-speed dive attempt in the Jug, and I'm not even doing it from high altitude. But this is the only time I did not kill the engine. Did push up to 500 indicated miles an hour though. Tried very hard to not go over that, thinking that may have been my issue. Gunnery in the P-47 is pretty great. It's a good firing platform. The fixed sight is actually pretty good for air-to-ground work. Gives you a nice little V that helps you figure out, how much elevation you need at range. The floating sight, the reflex sight, it's really easy to set the range and wingspan that's set to. It's fantastic, great system. And these guns, they have so much range. In all of my testing that I did in the A8, the fact that the rounds seem to decelerate instantly and gives you just such a short effective range, that I really didn't like them, and I wanted to. I mean, who doesn't want 4 20mm cannons at their disposal? But apparently 8 Ma deuces gives you a much better, longer ranged, flatter trajectory. Vertical maneuvering in the Jug is decent. It responds well to rudder input. Although I have to say that one of the areas of maneuvering where the Jug handles the best, at least the best of any of the 2.5 Warbirds I've flown so far, stall warning. When you are in a hard turn, it kind of gently rocks the wings a little first to let you know, hey, I'm about to start departing. And then you can kind of hold it in a little longer with rudder. It's fantastic. Okay, landing. The Focke-Wulf feels like mush at low speeds, and it feels like it's just falling out of the sky. Even trying to hold it at 225, 240 kilometers an hour, it feels like you're just sinking. You know, you either have the nose so high that you can't see the horizon, much less the runway, or your speed is too high for landing, or your rate of descent is too high. You just could not get the thing to cooperate with me. This, you just kind of fly it. Very intuitive, very forgiving. I mean, at one point I got too slow, and it just kind of kept going. And on touchdown, freight train. Well, maybe not this one. I bounced this one a bit. But once my wheels are down, I am on the brakes, and on them hard. Doesn't tip over. It's not hard to control the nose direction. This thing is just mwah. Beautiful to land. And can we take a minute to appreciate the exterior model? This thing is a behemoth of a Warbird. Massive. I mean, academically, I know it is the largest, the heaviest single-engine, single-pilot plane of the war. But when you're in VR and you're walking around this thing, you feel like it might as well be its younger brother, the A-10. It's just massive. And rivet counting level of detail on the exterior skin. I should have these synced up. Now there may be some audio coming off the recording of Zero's footage. So you'll hear myself, Rogue, and Zero on that. And I'll try to keep my talking to a minimum, and we'll just watch how some of this plays out. I may pause both videos to discuss things.
Oh, there you are. Hello.
Oh yeah, F5 is enabled.
Oh.
Finding each other was a big problem.
I do understand.
Are you not full power?
I am full power.
Oh. I say you should just be running away from me.
And he is.
I chose the wrong tactic.
Which tactic is that?
I was trying to dive and climb back up into you, but I lost you, and the dive didn't work too well for me.
Rogue is able to maintain an energy advantage in this climb. I am
Today,
closing
just
up.
trying steady climb.
Yeah, I can see you.
Is that behind you?
Nope. And there's an A8 stall.
And there's a stall.
It was intentional. The recovery was not. There. Now it's back. Yeah, it's going to take me some time to get the feeling for this thing before we can do it.
Right.
It just doesn't do what I think it should do. And yet it does other things that I think it shouldn't do. Like be on rails when you fly it normally, which the jug can be very squirrely.
Right.
Time for a durability test.
Oh, man. Beautiful formation here. Hello.
Oh! Oh! I thought you were getting away with that. You broke my engine. Hello, trees. I don't know. Well, you're in the jug. That's how you survived that.
I gotta look at this. Oh my god, look at my plane.
Man. You are beat up.
And yet, it's running like nothing's wrong.
I know, because it's a jug. It's like, it's a few holes and I'm missing part of my cowling. Who cares?
Cracks
Juggernaut.
in the glass.
Absolute
I just
juggernaut.
sheared another plane's wing off with my rotor.
A little later in that flight, we didn't get the external view footage of it from Zero, unfortunately. But we did have a bit of an interesting event play out. Let me speed up the time on this a little. So at this point, I'm just kind of goofing off. I'm not actually trying to dogfight. Then he snap roll stalls. I shoot out in front. And he moves to engage. I didn't realize he was moving to engage. I figured I'd go up, hammerhead, come back down onto his tail. Then I saw tracers. And the terrible gun sight and short-range slow bullets saved my butt. Now I know that we have a fight on our hands. I use my speed to pull away. Let's have a look at this for a moment. Rogue has more energy than I do. 1601 to my 1516. I'm a little faster, but he's nose down and diving on me. He has a beautiful position. However, due to the terrible deflection angles of those 20mm cannons, he can't capitalize on it. He's correctly climbing above me, but then he stalls. And the jug just turns and turns and turns. There's so much wing under this. I actually had to go check Wikipedia because I had a hard time believing how these things turned relative to each other and finding out how low of a wing loading the jug had. But it basically took almost nothing for me to 2 turns. and I went from defensive to offensive. Now, if he didn't stall twice now, due to high angle of attack, maybe things would have been different. Well, wait, let's back that up a sec. So he used his power to get above me. He's still faster than me and higher than me. So yeah, I'm on his tail, but there's not much I can do about it. We see he swings his nose up again. And at this point, I'm trying to go for it. I'm going to try to pull him into my HUD, take him out. Well, gun sight, don't have a HUD. So I've got this nice and slow. Bad move on my part. I am so slow. And I'm bleeding speed so much faster than he is because I'm having to climb more steeply to catch him. This was briefly the best thing that Rogue did. Right up until it looks like about this moment. This looks like the angle of attack got too high. He started corkscrewing. So let's look at this. He's out of control, and he's still 900 feet above me, 850 feet above me. 15 knots faster than me. He may be out of control, but I don't exactly have nose authority right now either. He's already building his speed back up, and I'm still stuck nose high. Look at his angle of attack, though. This is where the A8 will kill you. Now, this was only like 45 minutes into him learning the A8. This was really early on in our trial. So he didn't have time to train out these stall issues. And it led to him kind of plummeting into the dirt. Because every time he tries to pull up out of the dive, he stalls again. Same thing happened to me. All right. So, how do I feel about the jug in this Warbird trial? All in all, love it. Is it perfect? No. Do not love the engine management. Pain in the ass. But that's something that I can train out. Roll rate is awful. The Focke-Wulf, the A8, feels like you might as well be in an F-18. It rolls so wonderfully and it flies so smoothly. But turning is just, turning will kill you. Trying to pull out of a dive will kill you in the A8. Landing will kill you. The A8 will kill me more ways than, the enemy will. So right now, it looks like the jug is the one to beat. I've got a neat little score sheet set up where I'm comparing everything. I wanted to get the Rogue's input on this too, but you may not be able to give input on the A8, so that'll be an unfortunate bad averaging, be a single point bias. But beyond that, maybe we will be good going forward. Quick note, I'm not going to be able to do any more trials for the next month, more or less. Personal life taking over. I'm going to be out of town for a while, away from my computer. So unfortunately, my every 2 weeks plan is getting thrown in the garbage again. But it is what it is. It's real life. Um, if any of you know what that engine surging was earlier on in the video, that inconsistency, um, and how to prevent it, let me know. If you had tips for ground work, anytime the wheels are on the ground in the A8, let me know. Because I don't want to hate something for being unflyable. And I know that everything that I had previously thought was unflyable was just me not knowing how to use it yet. The Apache, my God. First time I tried to take that thing off, just spun around in circles. Tomcat, first time I flew that, and then to a dogfight, I was instantly stalled and just couldn't control it to save my life. Now it's my absolute favorite one for low speed flight. So I know that these are just user error things. And if you have the answers, send them my way. We can all be better pilots this way. All right. Not sure what my next upload will be. I might do some more quick things, more goofing off stuff. I just don't have the time. I won't have the time to dedicate to learning a new aircraft before I have to go out of town. Oh, hey, and if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe. Have anything that you want to see? Let me know. Always happy to take requests. That's actually how my Tomcat flight model video came out. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.